Welcome back. It's time for a fun little exercise. Resumes are never fun, but I'm going to try and make this fun. I might succeed, might not. Let's have a look. Okay, before we get started, I have a resume cheat sheet for you that we're going to go through. And this is what you can do. I've simplified everything so that you do these items and you're already above average with your resume, and you're going to see some increase in the number of interviews you're going to get. But before we get into that, I want to show you, again, this website that we already talked about, the resumemaker.online. Now, I like this website because it shows you what part the interviewer actually cares about, or the recruiter actually cares about. If you look over here, we see the title, we see professional experience, maybe a bit of education, and then the left-hand side. I don't think you need birth date or nationality, but you get the idea. A recruiter usually only checks out the main points. And from there, if they're interested in you, they'll read further. But you want to focus on these main points where a recruiter's eyes are going to be drawn, so that right away, within the first second, they see that you're a qualified candidate. So keeping that in mind, let's go over the points. All right, so I have the cheat sheet here, and I have here a demo resume that I just randomly found online. Now, before we get started here, let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see. You can pause the video here and have a look at this resume and see how you might want to improve it. Or you can even bring up your own resume so that as we go along with each point, you can critique your resume. All right, so pause the video. Otherwise, I'm going to get started. Now, this resume cheat sheet, the first item on it is, does it use a pre-designed resume template? And if we take a look at this resume, it looks like somebody just wrote it in Microsoft Word with the most basic font, and it doesn't look very pretty. Right away, if I'm a recruiter looking at this, I'm not going to be impressed, and I'm going to associate low skills with the person that doesn't have a well-designed resume. So again, you might want to use a tool like the one I showed you that has pre-designed templates so everything looks good and professional. So we can fix that resume that way. Nice and easy fix. What about the next one? Make the resume fit on one page. I've said this numerous times, and you know what? This person has the resume on one page. That's a nice, easy one. Good job. What about the next one? Include words from job description. If I go into this resume, I don't know what this person was applying to, but again, the very first items, which is what a recruiter is going to look at, is going to read, I wish to obtain a web graphic design position where my unique technical and creative experience will be valuable. Having worked in media, I am familiar with a fast-paced environment, keeping tight deadlines, and maybe some technical knowledge and work experience. But just by reading this resume, I have no idea what this person is applying to. I just see that, they're looking for a web graphic design position, but it's not very specific. We want to include words from the actual job description. If they're looking for a front-end developer, make sure that the front-end developer, maybe JavaScript, is included in your objectives or technical knowledge right at the beginning. Again, keywords are those words that people are going to see, recruiters are going to see, or even machines that are reading your resume are going to see and say, ooh, this person is the type of candidate that we want. Let's look at the next one. Include company name you're applying to. This is so simple to do, and right away puts you above most resumes. You see over here that this person hasn't really included that. Ideally, you add it into the objective or maybe summary or the title, the company name or something specific to that company that you want to improve. Maybe the company is looking for engineers who can improve their infrastructure. Well, you should definitely have those words and that phrase in your objective. All right, off to the next one. Does your first item on your resume reflect what you are looking for or what they are looking for, the company is looking for? Again, this kind of goes hand in hand with the job description and the company name, but your technical knowledge, your objective, your experience should be exactly, especially the very first items, should be exactly what they're looking for. Again, if you don't include those words and you give them something random, like this person has a company name here and a company link of somewhere that they've worked in the past, well, I don't really care. And if I look over here, the first item that I see is HTML. If they're applying for a web graphic design position, HTML is probably not the most important item here. So again, I don't really care about that. All right, off to the next point. We're flying through this. It's not that bad, is it? Experience titles demonstrate value. Probably the most poorly worded sentence I have come up with. But let me explain what it means. The experience title should demonstrate value. That is, the work experience, which is usually the main part of the resume, should show that you provide value. If I go into this person's resume, the first sentence I'm going to read is that a company's name that they've worked at that I've never heard of, WebMD, which is a big website, so I've heard of them. And then I see web producer. And then again, responsibility includes updating HTML content. Doesn't really demonstrate a lot of value here. Instead, you want to make sure that your work experience shows a value. That is, instead of having the company name here, unless it's a big company like Amazon, Netflix, or Alibaba, something with a lot of good recognition, I don't really care about the company. I care about what you did. Web producer, that sounds a lot more impressive than this company name, so this should be bolded and highlighted. Production coder, again, more important than WebMD. Art director, again, more important. So you want to make sure that that's highlighted, that those are the key things that shows you're valuable. Another thing is, if you look at this sentence over here, this HTML part doesn't sound impressive. But the second part, cropping, retouching, optimizing photos for creation of thumbnails and other images, I mean, you could reword that and make that sound better, such as improving performance of the website by optimizing assets, such as photos. Having those first items demonstrate value is very, very important. And this is actually over here as well. When we go to technical knowledge, we see that the second item is MS Office, Microsoft Office. I mean, everybody knows how to use Word. It's not very impressive. Maybe adding Adobe Creative Suite, Photoshop, Illustrator, Flash at the beginning, if you're applying for a web design graphic position, is more important than Microsoft Office. And again, even this sentence, I've been hand coding HTML for 9 years, CSS for 4 years, Webmaster, done PHP, MySQL. Why is that so small and underneath everything? A recruiter is going to see this without reading this full sentence. That's probably the most valuable part of the resume. This should probably be up over here. Again, making those key items. Remember this image that I showed you, the very highlighted items, the most important thing. All right, I think I've talked about that point enough. Let's go to the next one. Do you have an online link? Again, if you're applying to be a web graphic designer, and for people taking this course, you're most likely some sort of an engineer, you should have some sort of an online link to your GitHub profile, maybe blog posts, maybe website portfolio. That needs to be at the very top. Next one, remove the word I. I wish to obtain, I am familiar, I was hired. I mean, all those sentences doesn't really tell me anything. You're adding extra weight. Again, you only have a few seconds to impress a recruiter, and you're adding these extra items that we don't really care about. As a recruiter, we want to know right away what you can offer us, what type of asset you would be. I have been. That we don't really care about that. Instead, let's just say something like professional web graphic designer with 5 years of experience. Gets to the point right away. Again, we don't care about I have been coding or any of those I's. Get to the point right away. Speak in the third person if you want to. Just make sure right away the first sentence that they read are the keywords and important items on the list. Let's look at the next one. No buzzwords describing how great you are. And you know what? This person definitely undersells themselves. I think this resume could be a lot better. This person definitely does not overinflate themselves. But what I mean by buzzwords is don't put garbage on your resume that doesn't mean anything. So words or phrases such as thought leader, passionate entrepreneur. And sometimes people actually think negatively on these type of terms. Don't tell the recruiter, him or her, what to think about you. And we want to focus on using something called action words. And that's actually the next point. Instead of using vague terms that don't really mean anything, we want action words. What did you do and what were the results? And you can be really creative here. Every time you do something with code, see how you add it to your resume as an action and an end result. It's very easy to just list your responsibilities, kind of like this person has done, but what did you actually do? And I mean, this sentence is actually pretty impressive over here. The content, or not this one over here, testing the content management system and seeing that migration to the new servers is running smoothly. I mean, that sounds a lot more impressive than coding HTML web pages. Action words perhaps should be testing, deploying, and observing content management systems to production servers. Maybe add some monitoring there, but you want to show exactly what you did and then perhaps even say what were the results, that the customer experience improved or that more customers came to the website because of this transition to production servers. And again, this translates into the next point. We want to measure everything in terms of impact. Don't just describe your responsibilities. We want to show off what we've actually done for a company like WebMD. Ideally, you have some sort of numbers, such as by how much did you improve the website performance by optimizing the photos and thumbnails? How much did the traffic of WebMD improve because of this migration to new servers? By having numbers, it's a lot more tangible. As a recruiter, I can see the impact that you had on the business because let's be honest here, companies hire people that are assets, that improve the company and create more revenue for them. So if you're able to demonstrate that in a past job that you've actually, here are the numbers, this is how I improved the company, well, then you for sure are going to be a good hire. All right, let's talk about the next one. We're almost done here. Hang with me here. I know resume is not the funnest topic, but I promise you it's going to get better and better. So technical knowledge, skills should include what they are looking for. Only show years if it is impressive. So over here, this person, when I say years, I'm saying, hey, if you worked at this company only for a month or 2 months, well, that's not very impressive. But if you have a certain number of years of experience, this person has 9 years that they've been coding on HTML, CSS for 4 years. I mean, that's 9 years of experience. You don't even have to mention HTML or CSS. You can just say that you're a web and graphic designer with 9 years of experience. I mean, that sounds impressive. And you also want to make sure that these technical skills is what they're looking for. I doubt they're looking for MS Office or laptop PC hardware knowledge. They're probably looking for Photoshop, Illustrator, maybe CSS, maybe PHP, MySQL. Maybe it's a React.js position you're applying for. You want to make sure that you show off those skills. And if you have many years of experience with them, make sure you include that number. If you don't have that many years of experience, just don't show the number. You don't need to tell them everything. All right, last 2 items. Include only items that are impressive. Experience, projects, education, technical skills. This just says, hey, only include items that a recruiter really cares about. For example, if I was an intern at a flower shop 5 years ago, as a recruiter, maybe recruiting for a software engineering role, I don't really care about your flower experience. I mean, hey, maybe some people do, but I doubt that they do. Only include things that are relevant or can be indirectly improve your odds of getting a job. You don't want to just fill out a resume just to fill out a resume if it doesn't actually add to your overall picture. Now, this person does a pretty good job. You can see that most of their experience is technical knowledge, so that's good. But we see over here that usually you want to include experience, maybe projects, education, and technical skills. Anything outside of that, I mean, you can add it, but only if you think it'll improve the way the recruiter sees you. But those 4 categories should be enough. And then finally, everybody knows this, but I added it on here just in case. No typos or bad grammar. If you're not a native English speaker or a native speaker of your language, make sure you get somebody to double check your resume that there's no typos, but everybody knows that. Whew. All right, that was a lot. I know, but hey, I'm excited just as you that we're pretty much done with the resume section. So we can get into the fun technical part. But, people have written books on the topic of how to write resumes, and there's so many things, so many minor things that you can adjust to make them important. But if you follow these steps, and I'm going to give you this sheet right after this lesson, you've pretty much done 90% of the work that is important for you to get a job. After that, you should be focusing on other things, such as improving your skills as a developer. So by just following this simple list, I guarantee your percentage of getting interviews is going to increase, at least with resumes. That's it. Hopefully by looking at this and your own resume and looking at these checkpoints, you can see how you can improve things. It's all about wording and how you can get the recruiter to see the top parts about you, the good things about you at the very beginning, so that it catches their eye and they say, I'm going to keep reading, or I'm going to give this person an interview so I can find out more. Now, that's enough for resumes. There are books written on the topic, but you have to remember that they're simply a way to get interviews. And as such, treat them that way. Don't overcomplicate them. But I hope you get the general goal here. Every word in a resume should convince the recruiter why they should hire you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.